Sure.
Can we find out some sort of a solution at some point of time? Because these cities are completely unplanned.
Absolutely. It's not about being unplanned. What we need to understand is truly the geography of our city. For example, when you look at Mumbai, a lot of parts of Mumbai city are below sea level. One of the major parts in Mumbai, Hind Mata, I don't know how many of us know, but was actually a pond or a lake 100 years ago. It was filled with debris and then it became an area. And today it's a highly, highly densely populated area. What we also need to understand is our sewerage systems, our stormwater drains, are they equipped to take out rainwater in times of high tide? Today, if you see the Mithi Nadi, it's actually a nala or an estuary. Its flow back is about 8 kilometers in the city. When we started off in 2006, you must be remembering the floods of 2006. Back then, we decided from the BMC that we need to have pumping stations which are mass-scaled to pump out something like 36,000 liters of water per second. And today we've achieved that in terms of having pumping stations in Hind Mata, that's Britannia. Gazdarband will be coming up very soon. Cleveland, Haji Ali, 6 pumping stations across the city. Because what happens is when there's high rainfall and high tide, the water flows back. And once that happens, you really have no option than letting the water come in. Because otherwise there'll be a problem of sewage water going into the sea and untreated water, all of that. With pumping stations, you must have realized when Mumbai used to flood a couple of years ago, the water used to remain for 2 or 3 days. Now it remains maximum for 15 to 20 minutes. That water, which is ankle high or probably knee high in some areas, would not have an option because you cannot pump out that much water when the sea is at full fury or rain is at full fury. Delhi has nowhere to place the water. It has no sea around it. We need to expand the size of our drainage system. We've been increasing it tactfully because we cannot open up all the roads, but while we're repairing the roads in the city, we're also putting better drains. Drains that were 25 mm, laid in the olden days, pre-independence days, that could be increased to 50 mm, and now we're increasing it further. So that, missing links in drains and pumping stations, I believe, are the solutions. Also being patient and realizing that the time of flooding, or more than flooding, it's come to waterlogging, which is very important.
Second thing I would like to ask you, I would like to remember a day. The next morning of 26/11, I took a flight at 4:30 a.m. in the morning to go to Mumbai. What took me just 11.5 seconds to reach from airport to Taj, that's Nariman Point. If you are traveling on a daily basis from airport to Nariman Point, it takes from 1 hour to 1.5 hours to 2 hours, no time limit. Have you ever thought about traffic congestion in metro cities and a solution to that?
Absolutely, but tell me how many cars were on the streets on 26/11?
No one. That's why I'm telling you.
Which is why you took...
That's why I'm telling you.
But what is very important again is when I say you need to give more powers to local self-governments. The coastal road was first proposed in 2011, and we're finally getting some permissions and clearances. You have to go through environmental permissions, which is of course necessity today because you don't want to damage the environment. But the coastal road, Mumbai being a city of 7 islands, Mumbai being a city which is reclaimed, is not like Delhi, which has ring roads. We need to have a road which goes around the city, and that is what has been proposed with the coastal road. Of course, if you see in terms of public transport, we run, as the BMC, 7,000 buses on 400 routes. All of them go full. The railways, every minute there's a train in Mumbai city. It all goes full. The cabs are full. Ola, Uber is full now. The autos are full. And then there's traffic of private vehicles, which means we also need to increase the amount of roads that we have. The roads that were made back then, or the flyovers that were made by the government between 95 to 99, have saturated its life. Now we need to look at alternate roads, create more roads. And the coastal road, I believe, would be a great solution because you don't only have roads, you have mass rapid transport, you have walking paths and bicycles.
Third thing I would like to ask you about clearances of building project. How will, rebuild the city or save the city with good water, with good sanitation, with clearing all the building projects and illegal construction. There are 2 basic issues in Mumbai. One of clearing of building projects and second of illegal construction.
Absolutely. And to understand this, you need to have 3 major perspectives. One is of the DP. One is of the CRZ that is applied to Mumbai. One is of the Urban Development Ministry, which is the state government, the development construction rules, that is the DCR of various years, and then the BMC rules, which go hand in hand. Now, to get clearances from this, the state government and the BMC is working and has successfully worked towards a few single window system clearances, but we cannot do all of them because you need to go to those authorities to get those clearances. About illegal constructions, yes, there are some that are being heavily penalized, the new ones are being stopped, new ones are being demolished. But again, the question is, do you penalize the builder or do you penalize the people who have bought houses illegally there?
That's the basic point. And second, two last points. One is very big thing, which you yourself visited in last 2 or 3 years with your father, with all your corporators and mayors and everything, the potholes in Mumbai. You know, we see a campaign, you know, citizen journalism campaign or any other campaign, just to see that how the potholes of Mumbai will be removed. What do you think? How big is the problems of potholes in Mumbai? And are we really claiming that much of lives, which is claimed, you know, in social media or in any other alternate media?
आप मीडिया पे भरोसा मत करो इतना.
ऐसा नहीं कहिए आप.
No, it's obviously it is a major issue. It was an issue when we started off with working on potholes, especially way back in 2012. If you remember, in 2012 the situation had gone really worse. Potholes were around 20,000 that were reported. Today, if you see, and practically if you see with an unbiased perspective, the potholes have gone down to something like 1,300. Potholes cannot be taken off overnight because Mumbai is a vast city, great traffic density, high traffic density. We cannot close roads in the daytime. We have to work at night. Mumbai, again, as I said, is divided into various jurisdictions. I remember a couple of years ago when I read about the length of Mumbai city's roads. Back then, it was 1,948 kilometers odd roads that was about of Mumbai city, within which about 1,356 kilometers belong to the BMC, out of which 536 kilometers were concretized. But after 2012, we've also gotten a new philosophy where, do you need to concretize all roads? You do not need to concretize roads which are under 30 feet. If you see Great Britain, not many roads are concretized, they're all asphalt mastic. What we are also working towards today is, if you see 2013 to 2014, 972 roads were done, 52 junctions were done. The major roads like Marine Drive, completed. Go to junctions like JVPD Junction, Worli Naka Junction, Mahim Church Junction, which were heavy pothole prone. Today they're not with potholes anymore. There will be some roads which we are working on, but you cannot dig up all the roads of the city at one time. 1,000 roads to dig up is a large number and to repair. Along with those roads, what we're doing is, if you see, there are paver blocks in the city. The paver blocks are put because you need to dig up for the utilities. There are about 41 utilities lying under the roads of Mumbai city. If you need to repair one of the utilities, some of them are government, state, centers, local, autonomous, semi-autonomous, private, some of them don't even respond to you when the BMC wants to repair the road. Trying to get all of them on board, duct those utilities into one duct so that you can open it and shut it when you want to repair it, and then map them digitally and give it to each of those utilities saying, if you want to go and work, you can go and work here or there, that is your duct to repair it. Once we do that, we are moving towards a paver block-free Mumbai. This year itself, we will be taking another 1,000 roads in the city to repair. But what is important to understand is the jurisdiction of the BMC, the limitations of working in the city, because for example, Marine Drive is a prime VIP road. If there's a marathon, you cannot work. If there's a match happening there, you cannot work, only because the traffic police and the BMC have to work hand in hand and sync its work together. So the roads will improve. It cannot happen overnight. It is happening. Don't lie to you about that.
Last thing. Do we plan, I'm not talking about only about Mumbai, I'm talking about all major small cities or towns in the country. Do we plan for 2030 or 40 or 50? Because in 1995, when BJP YuvaSena was there, lots of flyovers and so many other things were planned, like Bandra-Worli Sea Link and things like that. Are we planning at this point of time about 2030 or 2040? Because when 2030 and 2040 comes, we see another situation. How do we sustain after this? Today we are seeing a saturation, as you rightly said the word of saturation. I would like to know from you, are we planning enough?
We need to plan for the next 50 years, and in a way which is sustainable, smart and secure, which is this conference about. If you see, I was reading about Germany. They're planning to make 62 kilometers of a national highway into a bicycle track. London is getting into bicycle track or pedestrianization. Things like that. Smart architecture. use of local architecture where, for example, in Pune, there was a particular stone that insulated you and kept you warm during winters and kept you cool during summers. Local stuff that needs to be there. So you need to think of technologies, disruptions, and infrastructure for the future. And that is what you need to look at if you're actually governing a country.
Thank you very much, Aditya. Thank you very much. I would like to open it to all the... Arvindji, please.
Great talk. I've already tweeted how, coming of age talk it is from you. I have a question for you which is related to your background, but also on what you're talking. How, you have a great vision. I've seen what I've heard today on many things around technology, cities, and the way a governance should be.
I'm going to trouble you for that, though.
More than welcome. But I have a question for you. How do you disrupt the political system, parties that you represent, which are very tradition bound, and they should be, but I think the future is very different. I'm looking at the future also. So how do you disrupt political parties? And I want to know your thoughts.
It's absolutely. I mean, you've worked very closely in the 2014 campaign, and we've worked together. What we were believed to be in the last 10 years, we broke that image, and we've come to government as BJP and Sena. Both of us had a certain image of, whatever it was, and, it was about the time and the need of the time. But today, what I'd probably like to look at, and we've already discussed this, it's also seeing ourselves as the new Tories or the new Labour was today in England. We keep our core at our heart. We do not lose our identity. But we also address what is today's needs. For example, when I talk about the rights of the local people, they will also be in other states that I'm speaking about because we're contesting elections there. We also believe in those local rights. But at the same time, for cities like Mumbai, I'm talking of a life which is beyond the 10 o'clock deadline at night, of cafes, of malls, of theaters, of shopping malls being open. It's a safe place to be. If the world can develop on tourism, why can't we? If the world can develop on food and beverage industry, why can't we generate employment in our own standards? So we need to keep our ideologies and our traditions at heart because we cannot lose them. That is what we are, and that is what our people believe in us for. But we also need to adapt to newer ideas, adopt with greater technologies, and go ahead with today's times. That is very important.
Taneja ji, Narendra ji.
Well, absolutely brilliant presentation, Adit.
Thank you, sir.
You see, the message which basically, the way I'm kind of able to read it is, all the things that you have listed out in terms of issues, problems, basically require for the country to move in only one direction, that is complete decentralization. This motto or this belief in Delhi that Delhi sab janti hai. You may have problem in your lane or by-lane in Mumbai, but Delhi thinks that they have the solution, not you. Essentially what we need to create is like 100 republics within the Republic of India. And all these republics are in a way autonomous. And they say they don't need to go to Niti Aayog or Yojana Aayog and so on and so forth. But this would require basically a major shift. Because if you look at the history of India, civilizationally, Indians don't trust decentralization. They like centralization, right from the time of Emperor Ashok to Akbar and probably 2016. We are all part of that. So how do we tackle this massive cultural issue where the solution is decentralization, but civilizationally, we trust only centralization? It's a major challenge. And the final second point, very quickly. You talked about political reforms during your the first half of your. What exactly you mean by political reforms? Thanks.
Exactly those. I mean, if you see, as you rightly pointed out, we are not a one-block country. We are a union of states. Each of a state has a different culture, a different history, background, a different context, and even today, an ideology. For example, what may be accepted in one state very easily cannot be accepted in another state, and that is why we have the federal structure. But what gives me hope in the decentralization today